So these GDP numbers and things that come out, we have to, as a community, start helping people, alongside people next to us. So sure, some people are talking about investing. Should we diversify? Where should we go there? But we need to actually be helping people that are having a hard time with the inflationary numbers. They're working, they have jobs, but it's hard for them to provide for their family. So we need to be talking about how can we help them gain and obtain better health care? How is it going to be affordable for them? And how can they actually truly save when they're just having a hard time day to day, let alone look at next month, next year, next quarter for all that means.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to and watching the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. Well, we just got the latest GDP numbers, and they blew through expectations. How convenient. Consumer spending is up. Investment is up. Government outlays is up. Our outlays are up. There's a shocker. And lots of other good numbers that are bullish for the economy. I felt better just reading them. Mindy McIntosh is with us now. And Mindy, you're from wealthmichigan.com. So we should all be breaking out the champagne. Happy days are here again, right?
I wouldn't be too sure about that. I mean, it's nice. GDP, yes, 2.8, I get it. But I was kind of teasing here earlier today. We have some sizzle and some fizzle all with this coming out currently. So we're just seeing things kind of stay put right now. It doesn't mean we're not trending towards a recession, though, so that's always good. Stable ground there. But we haven't seen much change in the housing units. We're seeing less job opportunities entering the market. So we're going to have to see some changes here in the upcoming future. But for now, that's kind of staying put as anticipated for us.
All right. So how much of this is real? How much of this is political, do you think?
Oh, I think that we always have to throw that into there. If you even take a look at any of the news sectors over the past even 10 days, right, of everything that we've seen from the tech era to digitals to, people can't fly in airplanes, IT tech has been shut down. We take a look at some consumer reports. If we take a look at the macro view of the market, what's coming up with the election, we really need to find some common ground, get some good roots, and stabilize. And as a unit, come together to really look at all things that's going on currently. And, as I talked to you last time, Kerry, I mean, we really have to look at these inflationary numbers and interest rates because we need to see some changes there. And anytime we see that cycle, part of our focus process then actually is going to tie that into when are we seeing the tax rates change then? Because we have to start filtering in and finding out where the next thing could then change within the economy.
Hey, I saw a video. Of course, you won't find it on the mainstream media, but there was a bread line in Brooklyn that stretched for like a mile. And these were not homeless people. These are working people online there who literally, due to inflation, can't afford to feed your family. And,
right.
We're probably in different socioeconomic strata. We don't really see that in our day-to-day, but that is what's happening around America, large swaths. So the average guy is waiting at a soup kitchen or a bread line, doesn't really care that the GDP grew 2.8% and that consumer spending was up 2.3%. Those are meaningless numbers.
Yeah, they are. Even in our small town, we live in a little town called Freeland, Michigan, and in our Freeland area, we have maybe 8,000 people here or so. Our next town over in Midland, at one of their soup kitchens, they're serving, they were just letting us know a couple weeks ago, over 500 individuals. And I believe that is what they're doing every day. And that's in a very small community. So these GDP numbers and things that come out, we have to, as a community, start helping people, alongside people next to us. So sure, some people are talking about investing. Should we diversify? Where should we go there? But we need to actually be helping people that are having a hard time with the inflationary numbers. They're working, they have jobs, but it's hard for them to provide for their family. So we need to be talking about how can we help them gain and obtain better health care? How is it going to be affordable for them? and how can they actually truly save when they're just having a hard time day to day, let alone look at next month, next year, next quarter for all that means.
Hey, the destroying the middle class is being pushed down to the working poor, and they didn't do anything wrong here. And look, the inflation was all predictable. It started during COVID with all the massive handouts, which maybe somewhat necessary, maybe not. Maybe they could have been done in a lot better way than they were. But then we got the Inflation Aggravation Act, which has just put inflation on steroids. And nobody out there is talking about fiscal sanity, about, corporate welfare, about, endless wars. Nobody out there really who's currently in power seems to care about these things that really directly affect or indirectly affect. You might think war is great until you go to the supermarket and you see that, everything is up 20%.
Mm-hmm. And their other ends aren't keeping up that much. I mean, we have seen within our income planning, we call it our future income planning here. We have seen with those interest rate numbers right now, with current interest rates and the short term doing so well, our income and bond alternatives have done excellent. So some people that are already having their pension-like income, because so many people don't have a pension anymore. So some folks with their pension-like income, we have been able to make a transition for them, give them some more income inside of their own investment portfolio to just kind of help ease some of the things you're talking about, right? Costing more even at the fuel pump, costs more to travel. If anybody's looking to, change homes right now or buy into a different housing market and need a loan, those interest rates are relatively high currently. So it's just about designing and setting a plan. And then how do we find good ways to make sure things are affordable? Because it's tough for the younger families. Husband and wife these days now both need to be providing for the family in most situations. And how are they going to, maintain and get ahead? And we're going to see that. I think we're going to continue to see this cycle in the economy right now. And then we'll see some future tax rates because of what we saw in that trickle back from COVID. I fully agree.
Hey, so, increasing taxes with a recession coming up, maybe we've been in the recession, and because of the government spin doctors here, it hasn't been fully recognized. You have to be a working class person to know that, that old saying, difference between a recession and a depression. Recession's when you're out of work. Depression's when I'm out of work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And you can't just read headline news. You also can't just see these numbers and percentages and think, oh, everything is fine. This is a pie in the sky. You have to have a well-developed plan, just as, we talk about this with you quite a bit. So I think we have to prepare for taxes. So even if folks can save $5, $10 a week, even if that's what they're saving for their future retirement plan, by all means, I really want to make sure that that's in their tax-free account. Try not to spend things like credit cards that you don't have to, so that you are not, forever indebted to the credit card carrier, and just making sure that we're looking at all avenues of healthcare, what type of healthcare is best for you, the cost. We like to make sure that we're really helping folks with that as well. And then just don't ride the waves of all of your investment portfolio either. They need to diversify, and then to be able to take a look at, don't assume too much risk or too little. How do they diversify and work alongside someone to help you with this, so that you don't just see the news, see the headlines and think, oh gosh, they must be talking to someone else because they're for sure not talking to me. And then they need to gauge their own plan individually for their family. And then the community involvement, like we started with, I think is the biggest key right now. Biggest key.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So is AI going to get us out of this mess?
I think AI is not going to get us out of this mess. It's definitely made some great improvements to some of the way that folks can do business. It's also taken out some of that human component, which I don't care for. So I do think with anything, we don't want too much of any one thing is not good. So I think in moderation, it can help us with some note taking, with some search tools, optimizing time. But we still need to make sure, I don't want to sit across from a robot that's writing me a letter. I want to make sure that I'm talking to you.
Yeah, well, a while ago, somebody was fired. He was a driver for Amazon, and And he said, why? What did I do wrong? What wasn't I producing? Nobody could say, because a machine had evaluated his performance, and I think it was a guy, and just said, you're out. And it's like, how do you fight the machine? You think it's bad fighting the government. Try fighting AI, which nobody even knows how it made its decision to get rid of you in the first place.
Correct. Absolutely. And I want to make sure that we're keeping jobs for individuals, right? It's going to definitely be eliminating. It already has done so. And we'll see the spiraling effect of that. And so we just need to be careful of how much we're actually utilizing and leaning on that tool.
And for the vast majority of people, like, work isn't just a means to a paycheck. It plays vital roles: self-esteem, sense of accomplishment, socially. Your workers, although now that everybody works from their home office, maybe not so much, but most offices have reinstituted people personally attending at least for several days a week. Work is like way more important than just economic, although certainly its value for the economy and the world. Right. So in the meantime, while all this is going on, China is like underwater, literally, and nobody is taking this into account. You don't see any news reports. I mean, that place is literally going through biblical floods here. That's got to have an effect on things too, the supply chain and all that good stuff, right, Mindy?
For sure. Supply chain, supply and demand, they're so much the front runner of some of these items. And we have not seen anything. We've seen nothing on surplus or deficit. No real news is coming out with that at all. And really, we've been trying to look at what they're doing in, especially in the market of automobile, their nuclear developments. And you see all this that's happening in the flooding, and you hear no word. You see nothing of it.
It's frightening. I saw like 2-mile wide rivers, that were main streets of major cities with hundreds of vehicles being washed out, floating like corks in a bathtub. I've just never seen anything like it. And we've all seen, thanks to the media, we've seen a zillion natural disasters before and never seen any rivaling this.
And they should be talking about how can we help, right? So how do we divine the unity, create us together? We're all interactively changed and interconnected. And so why are we not seeing what's happening? We're going to see some international trade deficits. We're also going to see some different things as well as investing overseas. And, that could help or hinder, but we need to be disclosing and talking about it instead of just having on blinders over it.
Yeah, well, obviously, the decision's been made to make an enemy out of China, and they're not getting any help from the U.S. until they beg for it, basically, because they've always refused international help in the past, and they go into a denial ritual when anything bad happens there, and then they blame it on the victims generally and suppress all news of it. This is so big, and it's far-reaching that the government's got to be talking about this and really making it a major issue here, because it's going to have effects all over the world.
Oh, everywhere. Absolutely. For sure. And so they need to decide what they're going to do, how they're going to portray it. And it can mean a lot of different variations of items and factors of that trickle-down effect, depending on what's disclosed and how that we're looking to help.
Hey, even though there's a decoupling taking place, there's still a lot of stuff that gets made in China and a lot of stuff that we need. And, and it is one world, whether we like it or not. So even though our leaders would like to split us, we're like little marketing niches. Everybody, they appeal to everybody, their own little niche, and ignore the fact that we're part of a bigger whole. So
right.
What I say is absolutely true. And, look, the United States has a history of helping all these nations in distress. Whenever any disaster hits anywhere in the world, the U.S. is there in some form or fashion. So it shouldn't be any different this time, regardless. Put the politics aside, put the ideology aside, and just do the right thing. Hey, so when we're looking at this economy after the election, Mindy, after all the damage has been done, We always say, there's one guaranteed loser in every election, and that is the American public, right? So where are we going to be at come November after the whatever happens there?
I think consumers need to be a little cautious because so many states already feel that who's going to be the new president-elect, and we need to continue to create the unity. I just wish we'd seen someone run that actually is really well-deserving and so imperatively ready to lead the country, but who would want to have that job?
Exactly.
That's the big thing. The ones that really can do an amazing job with leading our country, they're not going to come to the forefront, in my opinion, which is what we really need. So the human population, like you said, we all live in one USA and one country, one global China, everybody. So, we're all put on earth here. If we can start collaborating more decently right together, it will help to create a better developed plan. So I feel a little up in arms of what I think will happen this November. It does talk about, generally speaking, markets and returns and such aren't super effective, whether we see Democratic or Republican. When you see things like this happen in China, are we going to create unity and help out? Or are we going to continue to see more nation divide? That's all going to be a trickle-down factor as well. So we have to create and develop a well-sustained plan and be ready to make some changes because we're going to see them.
All right, Mindy, thank you so much for coming on, giving us your
Kerry.
Find Mindy at wealthmichigan.com. Got a question or comment for Mindy or myself? Shoot me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. The link is in the show notes for this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Please sign up for your free newsletter. Mindy, always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.